Welcome everybody to our spring 2026 coaches meeting, even though it feels like we're still in the dead of winter. Welcome to our spring 2026 season. All right. As we move forward, now we're gonna redo this here really quick. Please hold. Okay, appreciate. There we go. All right. Thanks for your patience. Okay. So in the chat, we always like to begin. If you don't mind, drop in your school, your job, your role, what grade. We always like to kind of see who's in our meeting here. Maybe how long you've been a coach. I know we have quite a few new coaches this season, which is always really exciting. So it's another big reason why we like to bring all of us together to kind of get some new coaches, veteran coaches in the chat and all together in one space.
If you are an advisory board member, please make note of that. We've seen a few of you in there, but that just brings a light to those that will be running some breakouts next and later in the session.
Beautiful. All right. And just a reminder as well, as we move forward, we are going to send out a copy of our slides. There are some clickable links throughout, as well as the recording, just so there's a few people who had some other conflicts, time commitments that were not able to make it today. All right, but goals of today's session for our coaches meeting. We have a few things we want to cover today. Meeting new staff and advisory board members on a closer basis, network and grow esports, kind of what Maggie mentioned a little bit. We're trying something today. We want to have some collaboration with some breakout rooms in a little bit to try to get some of you to know each other, who's in the area, who might be your neighboring person in your district even that you didn't know had an esports program. So trying to get some collaboration among coaches. Important dates and reminders. Game league updates, game day expectations, any updated policies, important reminders, resources, questions, comments, concerns, whole shebang, all of the above we're trying to cover with you today before we jump into the general season starting next week. So first things first, meeting the team. So many of you know Mr. Ryan Casey and Miss Maggie Helmer as my co-directors. I was new to the fall season. My name is Megan Luther, and working with these three is super awesome. They brought me into the team, and this is now my second season as well with MHSEL as one of your directors. So we are all available if you have any questions, comments, concerns for anything. We're always happy to help. We are always willing to direct you to Rachel Murray, who is also on with us today with Play Versus. So she is our go-to gal for Play Versus, our platform partner as well. A couple things. Moving into how to stay even more connected with coaches in your area. Many of you are familiar with our Discord, so I know a ton of coaches are on there. We also have our YouTube channel and our Twitter X account. Something really exciting, we actually added 2 more forms of social media this year, our Instagram and our Facebook page. So just trying to reach more coaches wherever you all are up on social media, making sure we get all the information, any updates, any additional opportunities out to you in the best way we can. So again, once we send this out, you can click all those little bubbles and that will take you right to our pages if you want to stay more connected with us. More important people to know, and I know some of you have already made notice of yourselves in the chat. Thank you so much for being here. So we have a collection of 13 advisory board members. So these people volunteer their time to make sure that we have spectacular, growing, sustainable esports programs throughout the state of Michigan with all of you. So their time is much appreciated, very much valued. All of them have run into all the different newness and obstacles and problems and experiences that you are most likely experiencing as well as you work in your esports program. So they are great resources to reach out to. That's why they're on our advisory board. They're willing to answer your questions, willing to connect with you, share their wisdom, share their experience, and offer a helping hand to you if you need it. So you can kind of see our Michigan map there. We have 7 regions and 2 middle school representatives as well, because with our spring season, we do have our competitive middle schools competing as well. 3 at-large representatives and our 1 college rep to really hype up our esports at the college level as well to get our students ready. But something, like I said earlier, that we wanted to try and do, first time we're doing this at a coaches meeting, so patience is much appreciated, but we are going to go into some breakout rooms today. So this is something where if you all can see that map very clearly, given a thumbs up, or if you have your video on, just like a shake of your head, yes, take a minute, please locate whereabouts you are on the map. This is going to determine which breakout room that you enter. So considering there is a lot of us here, this is something, thank you, Brian, for pointing to yours. That was awesome. So considering, like I said, the vast majority of us being on this call today, seeing where you are with your region and joining that respective breakout room. If you are a middle school team, you have your own separate room. That is an option for you. If you're someone who wants to join your actual region room, you're more than welcome, but they may be talking about some high school esports conversations. That's why we have our middle school representatives as well. So more than welcome to kind of sit with your people and talk about those things at the middle level. But before I put those breakout rooms up, we're not going to spend too long in there because I know we have other things to cover tonight. But we'll probably take about 10 minutes to introduce ourselves in our region, maybe share your name, your school, how long you've been established as an esports coach, if you've maybe taken over from somebody in your program and your school, or if this is all brand new, or if you've been at this for a couple years. But something, and I'll go back to this map in a moment, something that we are encouraging you to speak about today, and advisory board members, if they're present, they're encouraged to kind of like lead this conversation. If you are in a room and an advisory board member may not be present, this is something where if you take a screenshot of this with your phone or, so whatever you have available, this might be a really good starting point for conversation. So again, we're going to get into the nitty-gritty with the matches and the how-tos and the policies and procedures. This is more about the culture building of your program. So that's something we really want to encourage with our teams here, is that how do you recruit an esports program? How do you sustain players? How do you grow your teams? How do you add a team with a different game title that maybe you've never explored before? This is something to encourage that conversation in these breakout rooms. Maybe you want to mix up your practices, right? So instead of having your typical practice, how you normally run it, this might be a time to ask how others do that as well. And game management, how do you balance that skill building along with just trying to compete to win, right? Where's the sportsmanship that you maybe want to encourage, or how can you encourage teams to collaborate and encourage that leadership within your team? And then the last one to kind of we'll bring up again later in a little bit, but the MHSEL team, we are very curious too, just with how esports is growing on a national basis. We're really curious to hear from you as a coach, especially if you are a veteran coach as well, just sharing about how like that compensation in a perfect world, how that would look for you. How do you communicate this as a program to culturally build in your schools? How do you communicate that to admin? How would you communicate that to parents in your community? And what do you think fair compensation would look like? Again, in a perfect world. There's an anonymous survey that we will drop in the chat too That is something, again, we'll just go to MHSEL about kind of where that compensation currently lies on the Michigan level with all of you, but by no means comfortability is number one here. By no means are we asking you to share that in these rooms right now. But if you are willing and able, there is a survey, again, anonymous, that would just go to us to kind of give us more of an insight about looking into that further and seeing how we can add to that national conversation on the Michigan level.
And just as a note, in case and nobody saw it in the chat, Ed had a great question on if you're both a high school and middle school coach, which room would you go to? We would recommend that you go to the high school region room that matches where your school is located. And then if you need to get connected with other middle school programs later on, we are happy to make those connections for you.
Awesome. So thank you again, everybody, for taking some time, about 10 minutes, to connect with people in your area, to see who some of your advisory board members are. Hopefully you had some good conversations, collaborations amongst each other to just kind of talk programs, how you situate your teams at your school, how you conduct practice, how you've grown your program if you're new. So just trying to start some conversation amongst people around you and near you if you ever throughout the season want to reach back out to some of those coaches that you talked to in this breakout room. So thank you for taking the time to do that today. But again, speaking of people you can reach out to, we also have Michigan Super Coaches on the screen, and some of them are with us tonight as well. You may recognize some names. So these are people who, again, are a great resource for you. They are known to have established a very sustainable, a well-grounded esports program, very knowledgeable about how to grow a program and how to conduct your team and to take them through all of the different seasons that we host. So again, great people to reach out to here. We try to provide a plethora of people that you can talk to if you are having any issues or if you just want to connect and talk through strategy or questions or just wisdom of their experience. All right, and then just some quick updates for you about our league as we move forward. So we have a tentative JV and varsity titles you'll see on the screen. So we are still in preseason, and general season does start next week on Monday. So again, we're just waiting on some numbers here to see what fluctuates and what could be moved around a little bit, but this is tentatively what we are looking at for our JV and varsity titles, as well as our state titles and Eastern regional titles. So again, our state titles, just to get a distinguishing factor here, these are the ones that are going to go through MHSEL, strictly Michigan teams that you'll be competing against and could have the opportunity to go through playoffs and potentially our in-person state championship as well. And we'll touch on that later. Eastern regional titles, these are Michigan teams, but also could be just in the Eastern region, Midwest area. So you may be connected with somebody not necessarily in Michigan, but just surrounding the state. So these titles are a bit more broad with the schools and the teams that you could compete against. Great. Same with middle school here. So again, just tentative for right now, and we will confirm these for you and make sure that we get that information out to you. So middle school state leagues, Super Smash Bros. And Mario Kart. And then we have a wider Eastern regional title pool there for you as well. Again, we will send these slides out for you so you have this at your disposal. And the times are listed, the start times for the games and the titles as well.
And just as a reminder, we did have a question in the chat about if middle school leagues have playoffs. This season is when we do get competitive with our middle school leagues, specifically for our state leagues that we have there are Super Smash and Mario Kart. So there will be playoffs and there will be a championship match for those two titles. So that is the one part of being competitive in the spring. And then the other titles are more scholastic. And it does look like there was some questions that we've already got some awesome responses to. So thank you for our coaches for helping support each other.
Yes, thank you, coaches, for keeping an eye on the chat and helping answer some questions here. We appreciate that. All right, we also have a partnership with our Special Olympics to create our Unified Esports League. So the information here is for that as well. So game titles, we have one middle school game title that you are able to play with the Unified League for Mario Kart. And high school is combined Mario Kart and Rocket League as the two titles there. So the game info is on the side as well for you if you're interested in creating a unified league team. Very awesome, very rewarding. I know that one of our advisory board members as well has Coach O'Connor. I'm going to shout you out. I know that she's been awesome with creating an awesome unified league. So if that is something you're interested in, that's a great connection as well. All right, so important dates and reminders. This is a great time to get out your calendars here. So we are already past a couple of these. So we're in the middle of preseason right now. We're in our coaches meeting, of course. Deadline for enrollment. So if you have any schools near you or around you or in your district that are on the fence, or if you have any school teacher buddies like from different areas that are on the fence, but you've been bragging about your esports program and how cool it is, please let them know that the enrollment deadline is this Friday, February 6th, because we do begin our general season next week. So that goes from our general season goes from February 9th to April 3rd for both high school and middle school. We do have some award nominations we'll get into just a bit later through the slide deck. So those will be March 16th through March 30th, just for your calendars there. Playoffs, we are anticipating our playoffs this year to be April 13th through the 25th for both high school and middle schools for our state league. High school regional league playoffs. So for those Eastern regional titles will be April 6th through the 17th. And then our championship event. So once we get further down into April, we will have another coaches meeting as we enter into championship season on April 22nd. And then our high school and middle school, as Maggie said, we will have our middle school join us as well for the competitive season this spring. So for our state in-person championship event, it will be held at Oakland University on April 25th for both our high school and middle school championship titles. So a lot of that is further down the road, but just for you to mark in your calendars and to be aware of.
All right, and just 2 quick points. As a reminder, our state league playoffs start a little bit later than the regional league playoffs, so just be aware of that when you're looking at your calendars, as well as for Super Smash Brothers, we do have state playoffs for both high school, JV, and varsity, just to make that clarification. Oh, thanks, Dave, for responding to that, as well as we have that for our middle school league.
Beautiful. All right, so just a couple things we want to put on your radar as well. We're always looking to improve and grow as a league as well, and just to make sure everybody is aware and knows kind of those like policies and procedures, because we know it is a lot, right? So it's a lot to manage a team, to go through the logistics of everything. So we just want to make sure we're always giving you some important reminders so that way it doesn't affect anything for your team's success through the season. So a couple things, and Maggie and Rachel, please feel free to jump in as I go through. Rescheduling. So if you have to reschedule a game for any reason, if something comes up, if there's a conflict, whatever it might be, there is a protocol to follow. So there is a link that has a video step-by-steps, but typically it is that 48-hour window if you know that something is coming up or there is a conflict in player schedules, your schedule. There is a 48-hour window for you to go into the platform and to reschedule that match. Of course, this does not apply to what we like to call quote unquote acts of God instances. So I know it was Groundhog Day if we have more snow apocalypse days, and the ice days that we've been having. Of course, we will work with you, Play Versus will work with you with rescheduling matches if something like that pops up. For holidays, you will hear from us through MHSEL with how Play Versus reschedules those matches and those days. For example, President's Day or any other holiday that any schools are observing. So we will make sure that we get that communication out to you if there is just protocol already in place on the platform side.
So with that, just as a note, most of the schedules within Playverses have any of the holidays noted for you already off so that it is matches aren't being played on those days. But if, for instance, like President's Day isn't listed and your school does have that day off, it is your responsibility as the coach to reschedule your match. And that goes into the rescheduling protocol and hopefully fitting within that 48-hour window as well. And Rachel just dropped in the link to the schedules in the chat for you.
Beautiful. Thanks, Rachel. So another thing, forfeits and match queue, talking about rescheduling matches and getting some of that all worked out. So time of forfeit matters. So there may be instances where a team you're meant to verse will forfeit a match and your team is ready to play, ready to go. If an opponent that you're meant to verse does forfeit their match, you have to make sure this is procedure. You have to make sure that you join the queue or there is risk of a forfeit on your end as well. If your team is scheduled to play and you guys are ready and you're available, that platform is encouraging gameplay and it wants you to play a game. So if you join the queue, it knows that you're ready. I know, Rachel, I might bump that over to you to speak on a little bit as well, but just because another team does forfeit their match doesn't mean that it's an automatic record goes in as a win for you. So your team does also have to enter the queue to show that you showed up and were ready to play in order for you to not have a forfeit as well.
Awesome. Yes, you nailed it. And Sherry in the chat said if she clarified at 4 p.m. So
Perfect.
if your opponent forfeits prior to match time, you're going to be prompted to join the queue because the play versus system wants you to be able to play. If it's between 4 and 4:30 and that's when your opponent forfeits and you're kind of, you're working out the kinks and you're trying to communicate with them and see if they're going to be able to play. If finally, 4:05, they're like, we just have to forfeit, you'll likely be granted a bye at that point. But if you're ever confused at where you're supposed to be, if there's kind of a weird timing thing, use your support chat bubble in the lower right-hand corner and ask that question, and our team will answer your questions and we'll get you where you need to go.
Beautiful. And speaking of bye week, so every team, you do have one bye week you can select. Just make sure before the season starts, so before next Monday, you go into Play Versus and you make sure you block off your bye week for your team. Right. And with that, just a few things here with coach notes and any changes and additions. There are links there that go to the Play Versus website with anything that you need to know about changes or additions to your titles, the specific rulings, or anything that has to do with your specific game for your team. Rachel, I might bump this one over to you to speak on a bit more as well.
Definitely. I am going to, after I'm done speaking here, actually, I can do it really quickly. Just bump this link into the chat. If you're a returning coach, every season we have a few updates that we make to every title and just how things run in general. And so just wanted to highlight some of the big ones. The biggest change this season is going to be for our middle school teams, actually, because our middle school leagues, the Play versus regional middle school leagues, because those are meant to be recreational, it is meant to get students into the habit and the practice of competing. We actually swapped out our scheduling system to be queue only. So if you're a returning middle school coach, that's a change from those regional leagues. The queue is going to run really quickly, so you'll get matched within 5 minutes. What this also does is if you, as a middle school coach, or team can't make it one week, you're not penalized in any way. You won't have a forfeit on your record. No harm, no foul. Again, it's meant to be, we want to meet the schools where they are and where your schedules are. And sometimes middle school, you just can't make it that week, or you need to take 3 weeks off and then you'll come back in. So no problem there. Just wanted to highlight that's probably the biggest change this season with those middle school recreational regional league. We've got a couple other updates within rule books, and then for specific titles, like when new characters are introduced, what's the protocol with that? I'll let you read that on your own because it's not going to apply to every single team. And then the last couple updates as well is for Mario Kart and Super Smash. We are no longer requiring game accounts to be connected. So that should relieve some headaches for you as well. The final update I want to make for, let's see, Rocket League Middle School, we dropped the 13 plus age restriction. So all middle schoolers are able to play Rocket League now. So hopefully that can help fuel some extra teams. And then I'm just glancing at the chat to see if I missed anything. Racetrack picks and bans for Mario Kart in the future. I'll push it to my league operations team. And then how do we get digital copies of the Nintendo games sent to us if this is our first season? If your team is enrolled, then you can email support or use the support chat bubble, and they'll get you those codes that you need. Awesome. Moving on to game day expectations. We mentioned the connected accounts, and so this is those specific game accounts that your students will have. As soon as your students set up their Play Versus account, they should go connect their game account. So whatever game they're playing, they're probably going to have a personal account that they play with at home. So connect that, and that is how they can track their stats. It's how we make sure that it's a real student playing the game. We can go to the next slide. Maggie made this beautiful slide to show what games require what accounts to be connected. So most of them require all of the accounts to be connected for those rosters, aside from our solo titles there, Hearthstone and Madden. And then, like I mentioned, I know there's probably lots of clapping in the background. We are not requiring Mario Kart and Super Smash to have connected accounts this season. And I'm just following up here from the chat. It says, tell me more about those game codes. We've been buying the games. We have a really great partnership with Nintendo. And for Nintendo, and then let's see, Madden, we have game codes that we can provide you. You just have to have your team enrolled. You message our support team and they send you those codes. They are first come, first serve, and they are limited in quantities. So shoot support a message right now and we'll get you covered.
Also,
awesome. Go ahead.
Sorry. I just want to bring up a note as we are on the best practices slide, and to kind of wrap up a couple slides from before. I did have somebody reach out and just make a reminder to both old and new coaches that when you're joining the queue and you're ready for your match, don't join that until you are ready to play and be on time as well. But make sure that you are all ready to play versus joining the queue and then you're not ready to play and then your opponent is waiting on you to get prepared and ready to play.
Perfect. And then just moving into more of some best practices. Again, that's just bouncing off of Maggie. That was the biggest thing that we could possibly say, is to please communicate with your fellow coaches on there. No later than the times we have listed, is usually always an hour beforehand. Also, just a quick note, which I know some of our veteran coaches may have mentioned if we talked about this in our breakout, to make sure that we are having all of our players in and ready to go, not 5 minutes before that 4 p.m. start time, but making sure they are all present and accounted for, and that all the technology works, and that we have everything ready to start and ready to go. It's always a good rule of thumb for our game days and practices. It's a good thing to just keep in mind as we're training these student players to be the best that they can be in this space. And again, too, with rosters. So players are allowed one match per week per game title and can move between teams. So that should be for scheduling reasons and not to hide any players like, oh, this is my best player and we're just going to, that's a strategy for us. And, it's again, we're trying to encourage that sportsmanship across the board there. So just common practices across the board, making sure that we are modeling good sportsmanship, good teammates, good players for our students.
And just as a reminder, somebody did have a question about beginning before 4 p.m. Our goal right now is your start time is still 4 p.m. Your start times are still as scheduled unless you have rescheduled or talked with the other coach. The timeline that we have is that you have a minimum of an hour in advance to actually start connecting and communicating with the other team. That is the main point, is make sure that you're not waiting until the very last minute. That is the bare minimum that we ask of you. You can reach out obviously before that, but an hour before the match schedule is the minimum.
Beautiful. So hot topics and more opportunities. So speaking of these best practices, something that we always like to share with our teams and our coaches as to start off the season on a good note. We really like to promote that sportsmanship, like I said, and just that competitive integrity, teamwork, honesty, all those best practices into match day, into when you just meet as a team to practice and scrimmage. So we have different things in place for you if you want to use them as resources with your team to start off the year on a good note. We have a code of conducts with play versus, both for coaches and students, especially if your students follow a school extracurricular or sports code of conduct. This is nothing new to them if that's something that they are familiar with already. We also have that competitive integrity and behavior pledge. So that's something that's just good to read through with your teammates and your players, because some of them, especially if they're new to the esports space, might be used to just playing these games competitively by themselves versus with a team, right? So that's just kind of going through with how to conduct yourself as if you're playing on a traditional sports team, right? How to conduct yourself in a good manner as you were versing another school. So again, just all about that, building that community and culture and good competitiveness amongst our community and our teams. And with our streaming, we have done matches of the week in the past. So we're still kind of moving forward with how to utilize this tool as well. Another reason why to join Discord, to join our YouTube channel. So that way, as we kind of maneuver how to process our streaming platforms and how to promote really good games and to give you guys some of our encouragement and to, promote each other, to encourage one another as you play your games throughout the season. It's great to be a part of those social media platforms as well. So we will give you more information about any streaming of matches as the season moves forward. More opportunities. We love it. So something we love to do in our league is, again, give recognition where recognition is due. So we have, for each season that we have for MHSEL, we have an all-league player and an all-state player. So again, with that timeline and those dates that we provided at the beginning, so that those will open for nominations in March. And then player of the year and coach of the year, we will have through of our fall and spring season. So thinking about if you've played in the fall, you're coming into the spring, recognizing a player who has gone above and beyond for those seasons, as well as a coach who has gone above and beyond for those seasons. So it's always really great to kind of really support that and promote that, and to, recognize these students who may not always get recognized for their hard work and dedication with their team and this sport. So it's a great thing to keep in mind. Something new this year. So this is something I hope will perk up our ears a little bit. So we have a new partnership with Andeseat. So, and this is going to help with an esports lab makeover. And everyone goes, ooh, makeover, so cool. So this is something that we will Again, this is a little teaser. We will be sharing more information as time moves forward, but this will be an application-based, needs-based esports lab makeover. So this will be something that you can apply for and have an opportunity for your whole entire space to be transformed with 12 new gaming chairs provided by Andesy. You have an example of one right there. It looks super comfortable, really nice to play your game in. And some equipment and tech as well to be provided in this makeover space. And this will be announced and awarded at our state championship in April, but you will hear more word from us about how to apply, what that process looks like, and hopefully more details will be added out for you to answer any questions you might have. But little sneak peek, something to keep an eye out for. That would be a really, really neat opportunity if your space needs a little bit of a sprucing up for your team and your players. A new curriculum. So I'm going to launch this back over to Rachel to talk about some curriculum with our esports and gaming in schools.
Yes, Playversus now offers in-class curriculum for elementary, middle, and high school. I don't have an elementary slide because we don't have mostly we don't have elementary teachers on here. But if there's anyone in your district that is looking at bringing esports to the elementary school level, connect with me and we'll get you sorted. I did want to highlight our middle school curriculum. So we have a semester-long curriculum that is focused on digital life skills. The hook is through gaming, but they are still learning those important skills that we know those middle schoolers need to work on. You can see on the slide there, organization, self-advocacy, self-regulation, time management. And again, the hook is esports. This can be implemented in a variety of courses, such as Intro to Technology, or sometimes you got a study hall, anything like that. It doesn't have to be a standalone brand new esports class. This is a paid service, and so one course is approximately $3,500. Of course, we can add on different discounts when you bundle things, so on and so forth, but I won't get into too many more details there. Coming soon for middle school, we will have a game design semester-long curriculum as well available for next school year. So if you're interested in that, connect with me. I'll get you what you need. Our high school is more robust with our offerings. So we've got 5 different courses that are mostly CTE aligned, but we do have some that are aligned in more of the broadcast and journalism and even English language arts with our streaming course. Again, these do not have to be introduced as a brand new esports class. You can plug these into existing CTE, journalism, ELA classes. I can get you the course codes. I can get you scope and sequence, anything that you're looking for. I do want to shout out Godwin Heights. If they are on this call, they introduced the fundamentals class last fall, and they have a wait list for the spring. So it did turn out to be an incredibly popular course for those students. So happy to chat more about that. We also have all of these courses available asynchronously. So if you are a virtual school, if you have a virtual campus, we can chat about that too. They are not free. These are a paid service as well, $3,500 per year per course. We can go into details offline. There are different bundles that we can do as well. But happy to chat about that. Just wanted to make you know, let you know that this is available. Middle school are offered asynchronously as well.
Thanks, Rachel. Appreciate you. All right, so more things. If this is something that is a new world to you, we also offer a free online course to get you 2 sketchies through our Michigan Virtual Professional Learning Portal. So again, just more information, more deep dive into this culture, this environment, and introducing yourself fully into an esports community. These next few slides, I'm going to breeze through a little bit only because once you receive the slide deck from me later this week, these are all clickable links for you. So going through, if you need help setting up your esports team, esports roadmap is a great thing to use. If you want more information about the Playversus support team, if you want to just plan ahead just in case anything happens, how do you submit match results? Great question. It's right there for you. So if you click on it, all of those things that you may need to know. We try to put together an extensive list of things that will help you throughout the season. Same with the game rule books. So if you are somebody who wanted to just provide a space for your students to have this team, and you said, I don't know anything about Hearthstone, but here I am with my team, that's okay. There are rule books here for you and for your students as well, for you to all go through this together, especially with how you conduct a match and a competitiveness with these titles in other schools. So again, these are all clickable for you depending on which title applies to you and your team and your school. So like I said, not just with rule books of the actual title, but the protocol once game day comes and what that looks like with competing. And for example, with Mario Kart, how do you pick a course with your school? Like all of that is in there for you if you click on these links with extensive detail on what that looks like. And Miss Rachel is awesome. She is our go-to person for Play Versus. So her email is listed there. If you have any match or tech support, you can also email that email right over there to directly to tech support. Or I know, as Rachel has mentioned a few times now, there's that little bubble in Play Versus with instant chat for any support that you need. But we love Rachel. She's great. She's our go-to person for any Play Versus questions, concerns, anything of that nature. But we always like to say for MHSEL, for esports and everything that we build here, no matter the results, when students compete, school culture always wins. So again, making sure that we are promoting that side of it, that we're building those skills, those leadership opportunities for our students, win or lose, that they are having a space to collaborate, work together, and build those skills together with you. But with that, I will leave this space for any burning questions that anyone might have for us.
It does look like, and this is just so that Rachel is aware, that Overwatch 2 needs a lobby code or possible change to the rule book to note. Oh, Sherry, thank you for already responding. And just as we are wrapping up, as a reminder, new coaches, please feel free to stay on. We will just have a short connect after this. And I did just drop the bit.ly link to that coach pay survey. Again, that is so that we can try to do our best to, abdicate upon your behalf. So the more information that we have, the more that we can help try to get you guys actually paid, as we know that esports is a sport and that all of your time is very valuable, and we want that to be reflected for you all.
Yes. All right, if there are no more questions for the good of the group, thank you to everybody. Again, I will send out this slide deck and recording for all of you as the week moves on, but we appreciate you taking the time out of your Monday evening to be here. I know it's a lot at the start of the week, but we really appreciate and value your time and your presence here in our league for your students. So thank you so much. Again, as Maggie said, new coaches, please feel free to stay on just for like a quick 5-10 minute max, just a few more resources, things that we can kind of provide for you if you are new to the league and to esports in general.
I have a question because I haven't done anything before. So when I join the queue, hopefully Wednesday for Mario Kart, I'll get matched with a team. Will I know if I'm the host or not at that point? Like, how do I know if I'm the host?
I'm actually going to kick this to either an advisory board member or a super coach or a returning coach. I think they're going to be able to speak to this a little bit better. And then if I need to speak Play Versus language, I can.
Yeah, it'll
Okay.
tell you. It'll tell you if you're home or if you're away. The home team is always on the left. And even if you're not comfortable with it, if you don't want to, if you're like, man, I have no idea what I'm doing, if you ask the other coach once the chat is enabled, I'm sure between the two of you, one of you will host. But hosting is really not that tough. You have to build a lobby and send the other team the code. So it's really not that tough.
Okay, I'm pretty sure the kids can help me build the lobby and all that. I
Yep.
just want to know if it's going to be clear if I'm the.
Yes, it'll tell you if you're home or if you're a visitor. What I would also recommend before you do anything is on your computer or on a laptop nearby, make sure you have the rule book pulled open so it tells you exactly what the lobby should look like and what the games should look like. So if you have that ready to go before you even enter the queue, that's a really good, handy resource.
What do you mean what the lobby looks like?
So when you get into the lobby for Mario Kart, you can choose the different race. There's like items if you want them on or off, the number of races, and there's a list on the resources that tells you exactly what to put for all the categories. Because you have like 6 or 7 different things. It's like a 150cc race, 4 races. You want teams, but it says that in the rule book under I think it says game day.
All
Yep.
right.
The
If you
match
show those
instructions.
settings-
Yep.
Yeah, if you print those out and show show one of your players those settings, 9 times out of 10 they'll be able to help you figure that out, and they'll walk you through it. They'll know
Okay.
exactly what. Yeah.
So I thought I had the rule book that I had printed, but I don't remember seeing it listed that specifically. The only rule I remember is it's supposed to be on random.
There's two things you want to look for. One is the rule book and one is like match instructions.
Okay.
Rachel dropped something in here. Let me see if that. So Mario Kart, yeah, that link that Rachel dropped in there will give you all of it. What is the game, the rule book, and then match instructions. And that's where you'll find it. And then Jason also pointed out something really good is when you are matched, you kind of have to wait a little bit to get to your actual match in the match chat. You'll see your school pop up with another school. And then it takes a little bit if you just wait on that. Sometimes you can refresh and it'll get you to the match chat and the match assistant a lot faster. So hopefully that helps.
And once let's just pretend I'm not the host. So we'll take that out of the equation. So I'm just the other team. Do I have to do anything after I've joined the queue? I don't have to like accept a game or like all right. And so then I should then see the chat come up.
No, it
And
will.
then they'll put the game code in there so that my players can put the game code in.
There are a couple prompts you have to follow. One says ready up, and it's just if you just pay attention, it'll be orange. If it's not orange, it means you're waiting on your opponent to do it. But you have to like ready up, click on the thing that says you understand the rules, confirm your roster, and then when it says get ready to play game 1, then you let the kids play the first game, and then you report the results. But Play Versus is excellent. The match assistant is excellent. It walks you through the process. It's very user friendly. So I mean, it just
there is a
takes you right
video.
through it.
There is a match assistant video, and I can't find it. I was trying to find the link, but there's a match assistant video that shows you, like Dave was talking, it's like, hey, this is what it is. This is what this means. This is what you're going to see for each step along the way.
Okay. And then, so who reports the results and what does that look like? Like just first, second, third, fourth, like that's not done automatically.
It's just which team wins, and then both teams have to enter in the same thing. So if my school is playing your school and your school wins, we both have to go in and report that your school won. And if there's something not right, if I somehow go on there and say I won when I didn't, it won't let us progress until we both agree that whatever school won that game.
So that happens after every game, and there are 4 games in a match.
For Mario Kart, you have 4 races, and that makes up 1 game. The entire match is best 2 out of 3 games. So you're either going to race 4 races, you're always going to race 8 races, you may end up racing 12 if you split the first 2 games. So
Okay.
overall, it's a best 2 out of 3.
The only
But
thing
you're
I'd throw in for
reporting
Mario Kart,
each game. So
At the
every
end of the
4
game. So
races.
right, what you will see is at the end of the race, it'll tally up points. It'll show you who's ahead. It'll show you 1 through 8, how the different racers are doing for both teams. And then at the end of those 4 games, it'll give you a final score. It'll let you know final race. I mean, if you're paying attention, it's easy to spot. At the end, it'll give you an overall winner. That's the only thing you have to report, is the
That
overall
was-
winner at the end of 4 races.
that was what I was going to throw in. That final score doesn't appear for very long sometimes. So just make sure you're grabbing that score after that 4th race so that you guys agree on the same score.
What do I need to grab the score for?
So after the 4th race, it'll show the score for each of the teams, what your total score was. You need to have that score when you enter it into Play Versus. So just make sure somebody's making a note of what that score was when you're done with that 4th race. Because it kind of will pop away quick, especially if the kids erase it. And just click onto the next screen.
And just hypothetically, what might be a score?
They're usually something like 75 to 70, somewhere around there. A blowout might be 100 to 60, something like that.
And Lisa, if we need to, if you are really concerned about the whole process, especially for the couple game titles, I know that there are many people on this call that would be happy to connect with you and even maybe scrimmage with you, especially if you're set up for this week for preseason, just so that you can kind of go through what that process looks like and get those kinks kind of figured out before we get into regular season, where this does go a little bit quicker and you'll need to know a little bit more of that process. Again, the students are going to be very well versed in all of this and going to be able to help you along the way. And the platform is very user friendly. I do know that Rachel, again, like obviously we've got multiple of our super coaches on the screen that have already chatted with you that would be willing to connect with you as well to walk through this a little bit more if needed.
Yeah, I have a call with Sherry tomorrow, so we'll
perfect.
make sure. And then I am gonna get them on Wednesday because I'm just gonna fly the plane while we're building the plane.
And you're not alone in that either. I feel like that's a lot of
So
new coaches with getting used to this process. You are not alone there. I promise.
I'm sorry to interrupt. I have a couple of quick questions regarding the structure of I guess the schedule. If we have time for those real quick.
Go for it. Yeah.
So obviously Play Versus is like the bread and butter of what we'll be doing, like to talk to other coaches, compete and whatnot. Regular season, you said starts February 9th. So does that mean we are going to be getting into like facing other schools immediately that week, or should we just kind of be? Yes. Okay. All right.
Yes, you will start playing with, depending on what game title you are in, whether it's a Michigan State League or a regional league, you will be playing other schools either in our state or within the region, again, depending on the title that you are involved in.
Okay.
And it will be regular season. So that's it, including, have everything as much as you can set up because if you're not squared away, that can result in forfeits.
Yeah, so that brings me to my second question out of 3. So I have yet to register. My plan was because we were kind of behind on the curve with this. We were going to have our first official meeting on the 10th of February, kind of get like a general consensus. I know deadline for registration is the 6th. We were talking about it a little bit earlier in chat, but is it acceptable to enroll in a few different games and then contact Play Versus or whomever to unenroll in in a certain amount? That way I can just get a broad spectrum of games that I think the students would be interested in, and then once I'm able to actually connect with them, kind of limit it down to just a few.
Yep, I can take that. Absolutely. And I highly recommend registering your teams, even if the rosters aren't full, that's totally fine. Get them in this week before the deadline, even if you aren't meeting, you've got probably an idea of the teams that you're going to create. And then
Right.
even if you are slow to get started, if you forfeit, we're not going to kick you out of the league. It just
Cool.
might impact your ability to make playoffs. But if this is your first season and you're like, hey, this is a learning season, if you miss that, the first couple of weeks because you're still building that program, that is okay. The way our
Right.
automatic scheduler goes is if you haven't played your first game yet, you're not leaving anyone out in the lurch. So
Yeah,
don't
no,
be concerned about that.
I kind of view it as if we are doing like actual competition starting that
Mhm.
first week, kind of get the general consensus on Tuesday, and then just kind of throw that, or just kind of throw kids. I don't. It kind of sounds kind of bad this way, but say it's like or it's Marvel Rivals. That's
Yep.
on Thursday. Just get like a group of them together, like just that first week, just so we can compete, and then
Yeah.
kind of work out the kinks as we go.
Yep.
My third and final question, it's regarding the Switch games. We briefly touched about this, but I just want to confirm. We have 4 Switches with our high school. I don't believe we have any codes for Mario Kart or Smash. I did just send an email to support at Playversus. That's what I need to do in order to get those, correct?
Yep, they'll probably tell you to enroll your team if you haven't already. And if the roster's empty, that's totally fine. And then they will send that over shortly.
Perfect. Thank you guys so much.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you.
I'm gonna jump in. I'm sorry, I'm brand new as well and have a couple of quick questions.
Welcome.
I'm doing middle school. We're just doing Mario Kart.
Mhm.
I have experience with Mario Kart. It's the Playverse that unfortunately Admin has most of the access to. So I go to my matches, hit join match, and the prompts will come from there. Is that
Correct.
like that's when I'll join the queue and stuff?
Yep,
Perfect.
exactly.
And then the no queue penalty. Can you for the middle school? Can you explain? I am the player account. I'm a little confused on that, but just because I haven't had time to.
Yeah, so a couple different things. So you are going to be playing in the MHSEL Mario Kart League. Is that
I
correct?
believe so. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So with that, you will have scheduled matches after you get your first one under your belt. You'll know who your school is because that is a competitive league. So we do, after you get your first match under your belt, you'll start to see who your opponent is ahead of time. So that's kind of with that queue thing. With your specific case, you probably won't run into a queue other than your very first match. Then you talked about the Nintendo codes. So it's going to prompt, or when you play Nintendo, you play Mario Kart, you've got that friend code. Previously, we required each student to put their friend code and attach it to their Playversus account, and it was kind of a headache. And with sharing consoles, it just was kind of a pain in the behind, and we didn't need to use it. So you don't need to do that for your students. You don't need to connect their friend accounts to Playversus, nothing. You just got to have their names in the rosters and you'll be good to go.
Just names in the rosters, 1 to 2 kids per switch.
Yep.
And run. Perfect. Thank you so
Cool.
much.
Absolutely.
Hi, this is Jamal Ross from Christ the King Catholic School.
Hi.
First time, and of course, I have some questions kind of similar to the previous coach. And one of them is, so when I have the switches are set up in the classroom, everything is great. How do I connect all of those switches to Playversus? Or how is that going to work?
So you don't actually have to connect the real device with Playversus at all. Playversus is more of the communication, the reporting, and the managing tool. When you go to actually play your match, that's where you will look at the match instructions for whatever title you are playing, and it'll prompt you there on how to set up the lobby code, what the settings are. But Playversus is not actually connected to your device.
Okay.
Does that make
Okay.
sense?
Yep, that
Okay.
kind of makes sense. So when we go to, I guess I need to read the Mario stuff a little bit more closely then, because I'm just trying to figure out, I want to make sure that we are going to, when we create our lobby, because we've kind of done that a little bit with a LAN party in the classroom.
Yep.
and we've kind of started doing that. None of my kids have ever touched a Nintendo Switch before.
Okay.
So we're all looking at this thing like, a unicorn in a classroom.
Mm-hmm.
And so we're just trying to figure out, is it going to be the online game, or is it going, because when I go there, it's saying that I need to pay for the online account. Is that something that I have to pay for then?
Yes.
It's yes, or you can email Play versus support and we can give you a code for free.
But
Okay.
that would be a code for just one online account, right?
Correct. Each of your
If you-
devices will need a code. So if you got 4 switches, email support and ask for 4 Nintendo Online subscription codes.
In the
Okay.
future, if you can't get the codes, you can do the family online subscription, which gives you up to 8 switches. The other thing you're going to want to do, I don't know if you're on Wi-Fi or if you are hardwired in. It's recommended to be hardwired, like using an Ethernet cable, the
Oh,
adapter.
we're Wi-Fi.
Okay. So the other part you want to check is your internet settings. We just had a conversation with Lisa, Jared, and I did to make sure you want to make sure you're at least a NAT-B type internet connection. And your
Okay.
tech people should be able to help you get to that. Otherwise, you won't be able to connect to anybody.
Okay. I know when we connected today, actually, because we had a practice today, using LAN party. I know we had 320 gigabits of speed because I did a speed check with my laptop, and we were able to get on that, but I'm not sure. Yeah, I guess I'll have to get with IT people to make sure that we have a NAT. You said NAT-B?
NAT-B. And what our person did, and other super coaches can probably talk about what they did, or advisory board, is we have a hub that we can plug 4 Ethernet cables into. And then there's one Ethernet cable that comes from the port in the wall. And then they're able to get all the settings for one port so that my 4 switches then can have whatever they need to get to. So that hub then pushes it out. And that's been pretty good.
Okay.
Thank you, Sherry. But I know that you might have some more questions, and I just want to make a note because we are at about 8:20 almost. Anybody that is still on this call that is a new coach, if you are 100% feeling confident about enrollment steps and everything and don't really have any pressing questions at this point in time, I want to respect your time and let you know you are free to go. We are just here to, we've dropped in some resources and obviously to hear some of the other new coaches' questions that you might still have as well is the main point of this. We will be sharing out the slide deck so that you guys can have all of those resource links that we have. But I just want to be respectful of your time. We are going to be wrapping up here in the next 10 minutes just to, again, respect everybody's time here. But if you have more questions outside of the next 10 minutes that we have open to chat, please feel free to reach out to us or Rachel or any of our super coaches or advisory board members, as they are our gurus when it comes to this stuff. They are fabulous and are able to walk you through all of these steps. Does anybody else have any questions that they want to ask live while we've got some of our experts on the call?
I'll give you some unsolicited old man advice. The one thing I would say is if you have not gotten a hold of your IT department, if your IT department has not helped you at all, you need to do that tomorrow. As soon as you get into school, get a hold of whoever you have to get a hold of, because even though you may have connected it to the Ethernet, or even though you may have connected it to your Wi-Fi, that's not always a guarantee that it's going to allow you to play games. So I know with us for Mario Kart, it took an entire season for us to finally figure out that there was a setting at the ISD level that was preventing peer-to-peer sharing just with that title. It was frustrating. We could play online with the person next to it, or excuse me, we could play online with somebody in Germany, but we couldn't play online with the person next to us and create a room. So if you're running into any of that, get your IT involved because it may actually be something that's nothing that you did. You may have everything hooked up the right way, but something is blocking it. So again, if you haven't done that yet, IT has got to be one of your best friends.
That is great advice, Dave. And you're not an old man. You're still young and kicking. All right. If we'll stay on for another minute, but if nobody else has any major questions at this point in time, we will wrap up our day. Again, thank you all for the time and being here and asking your questions. It does help because there are other people that have those same questions as well. So we appreciate you all. Thank you to all of our super coaches and advisory board members. You are amazing and we appreciate you and your expertise. Again, give us a holler if you have any questions.
Yep, and we'll share those slide decks with you all, especially if you feel like the super coaches and advisory board, you guys are like a breath of fresh air for new coaches, like all the information that you have and advice and wisdom, everything. So we'll be sharing out the slide deck with that information of your super coaches, your advisory board members. So if you are like, this person was really helpful, I need more information, then we got you.
I do have one other question, actually. All of these match times for high school level are at 4 p.m. Contacting the coach that we're supposed to play that specific day, again, using Marvel Rivals as an example, Thursday. If there needs to be, say, not a reschedule, but like a delay, delay the match 1 hour. That's just something we can do. I can message out and play versus beforehand, say like, hey, do you mind if we just push it back like an hour or so? And that's the procedure, correct?
An hour would be more of a reschedule.
Okay.
Because 4:30 is like the forfeit line. If no one has said anything in the chat, or if the other coach hasn't said anything in the chat up till 4:30, then it's a forfeit on that team. If they say we can't start until 4:30, then okay, then that's allowed. But the game needs to start close to that time.
Okay.
So 4:30 is, if you need to reschedule, you could do that. You can drop in the chat. I have had coaches do that and I'm like, no, I can't do that. Or yeah, sure, we can do that. So you could do it, but lots of them are going to say we need to do a reschedule or something.
Okay. I gotcha. Cool. Thank you.
And just as a reminder, if I remember correctly, if you request the reschedule, but they are not able to, that would be a forfeit on your end if the other team cannot accommodate.
Okay, gotcha. So I guess that begs another question, in terms of not being able to accommodate, and like the reschedule process in general, like let's say it has to be for another day, would we try and pick like another weekday or like, would it be like another Thursday, like following, say, another
No.
match?
There's no
it
way
is
you're going to be able to play 2 Marvel Rivals games in one day. That's
Okay.
just not going to happen because you'd be there till midnight. So you just going to want to try to work it out with the other coach, and sometimes they can, sometimes they can't. I know I have a really hard time with reschedules because I have kids there Monday through Thursday. And
Yeah.
so I don't have the computer space in order to accommodate. And keep in mind, if it happens once, that doesn't hurt you at all, except, your standings a little bit. It's only when it's kind of a chronic thing that it ever becomes a real issue.
Okay, gotcha.
And just as a reminder, because of the respect for, coaches that have multiple teams and everything and are playing multiple games different throughout the week, MHSEL does have that 48-hour protocol window. That is one of our policies for our league is we try to be respectful, understandably that you're trying to reschedule, but that is a standard for us.
Okay.
One more thing about the reschedule, or not the reschedule, but the 4:30. It's up to 4:15, I believe, that the other coach or the other team has to respond in chat, and the other advisory board can help me refresh my memory. So it's up to 4:15, but the game needs to start 4:30, correct?
Where there's a grace period. They added
Yes.
that, I think, last year, Sherry. So by 4:15, you have to communicate something in the chat, but you can request up till 4:30 to start. Try not to take advantage of that as much as possible. It really should be kind of an emergency kind of deal. But you'll get into this the more you do it. Like
Yeah.
I'm usually 3:30. That's when I log on to play versus and I communicate to all the coaches. Hey, my 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 captain's going to handle the chat. Good luck, have fun, that kind of stuff. So you can see if there's any problems or whatever. But especially with Marvel Rivals, if you get into a close match, that could take an hour and a half, and sometimes up to 2 hours. So you want to get that thing started as close to 4 o'clock as you can.
So I guess another question. You were mentioning a 48 hour like kind of reschedule window. Let's say something does happen. Let's say I have like a few players, and they have another uh, just say extracurricular that they won't be able to make it that specific day, and I am trying to reschedule. Naturally, like if we can't, it's a forfeit. But what if I reach out to the coach that I'm trying to reschedule with that one specific day and I don't hear back from them within that 48-hour period?
You would want to reach out to them ahead of time before the game to try and do a reschedule. So if your game is Thursday, you'll know Sunday, I think it is Sunday that you'll be playing that. It's usually 2 days after your game that you'll find out who your next opponent is. And so as soon as you find out, you can send that schedule request and then they have up until the game day really to.
No, but that's what I'm saying though, is let's say I Sunday or Monday, I send out the request to reschedule, and I don't see a reply from the other coach within like up until game day, like just nothing at all. Like, what's the protocol for that?
Then you'll play the game or forfeit the game if they can't reschedule.
Okay, so if they don't respond in general, like neither confirm nor deny it, it's considered a we can't reschedule then. Okay.
Ultimately, it's your job to get a team there. And
Right.
if you can't get a team there, then you forfeit. And
Okay.
listen, man, we've all been there. It has happened to every single one of us. If we've coached for more than a week, there are going to be conflicts. There's school plays and there's band concerts and there's all this kind of stuff and there's playoff games and it happens. Don't beat yourself up if it do your absolute best trying to make it every single game. If you don't, again, it's not the end of the world, especially your first season.
Okay, no problem.
Do
Yeah,
your
no, again,
absolute
I'm
best.
just trying to get used to like what the protocols are for like specific situations. I'm kind of I kind of check all my I dot all my I's, I cross all my T's, that sort of thing. So I just want to kind of get into like nitty gritties with some of this stuff. But I appreciate all of your guys' feedback on this.
The last thing I'd say to you is never go into a season with the bare minimum. So if you have 5 kids that are in for Marvel Rivals, you don't have a team. You want to have at least 6 or 7 so
Some
that
backups, yep.
in that case, you can, if a kid has to go off to a band concert or whatever, you can substitute them because it will happen. Kids could get sick, something's going to happen at home. It's inevitable.
Are we allowed to substitute players during? I guess I have to read the rule books a little bit more specifically, but for like the team shooters or even like Mario Kart or something, are we allowed to substitute players like during in between the games?
In between games, yes.
Okay, cool. All right, cool. Thank you guys so much.
One last thing I would say about the reschedule is if you haven't heard from them and you sent it like earlier in the week, you can get their email from the team page, the coach's email, and you could even email the coach just to see if it went through. Because sometimes I've had stuff go into spam or something like that. So if you click on your match and I'm just trying to pull it up, I had one, you can pull up and look at the teams and then the coach contacts should be there. So you could then like email me and let me know that you did send something and I can go look for it.
Okay, so just basically try my best, and if I don't hear anything back, then yeah, just try and get there the best that I can, and if not, then it's not the end of the world. So, okay.
How much time is there between the games? Like if I do want to substitute, like you said that the score goes away really quick. Will I have like a minute, 5 minutes? Like how much time is between the games?
You get 5 minutes.
Okay, so that's plenty of time to make a substitution. Okay.
And I mean, if you need more than that, if the team has to go to the bathroom or something like that, just communicate with the other coach and say, hey, we need another minute or two, but yeah, you have enough time to substitute.
And do you click, you know how you said there's like a ready up? You do that before each game. So like it starts, okay.
The initial time is there's a lot of things to click through, but then for Mario Kart, I think it's just report the results and it says get ready for game 2. If you get into other titles like Smash Brothers or Splatoon, then you got like pick maps and all that kind of stuff. But for Mario Kart, it's pretty straightforward.
If you're
Okay.
switching players between the 4 race sets, you can switch players in Mario Kart between those. And there's a little button that says I'm going to switch my roster between these 2 sets, and that lets the other coach know. Then you have to just ready up again, or not the whole process, just a short process after that. Confirm rosters or something like that. I can't remember what it's called.
So I can set that up before the game starts, is what you're saying?
You
Or-
set your initial 4, and then you have anybody on the bench that you need to, up to 4 players, and then so you've raced 4 races, you're like, hey, I'm switching everybody out. There's a little button that'll say I'm switching my rosters between races. You click the button, that sends the other team a message, and then it lets you change your bench players to wherever you need to, and then they can change where they need to, and everybody hits, hey, we're ready to go again.
Okay, so there's just a little button I click that I'm substituting. Okay.
Yep. There's a little checkbox when you're inputting the score. Right underneath that, it's a little checkbox and it says something about changing rosters.
Okay, because I think it would be nice to let all the kids play every week. So
Yeah, I have 16 middle schoolers, and it's perfect because it's like, hey, 4 of you now, 4 of you there, and I have two teams. So yeah, we run 8
that's
kids
what
per
I was
team.
hoping to get. I think I've got 13 right now, so I don't
Okay.
quite have so it'll be not a perfect swap, but
Yes. Sometimes I'll even pair them up. I'll be like, hey, listen, you 2 are going to play together. Like if I got 6 on a team or something like that, I'll just switch them out. So if we're playing 3 sets, then everybody gets to play twice.
yeah.
Awesome. I'm gonna jump in there. We've reached our 8:30 mark, a few minutes past. So we are going to close out here. Again, just as Maggie said, it's Monday. I want to stay on. You guys are asking such good questions.
One more question, please.
Okay,
I'm sorry.
our final one.
Okay. So are we still only at 6th, 7th, 8th grade, or I thought I heard something about elementary school, and I didn't know if that means I can start playing 5th graders. Because I got way more 5th graders interested in playing than
Just
6th,
got in-class curriculum available for elementary. Competition is going to be limited to 6th, 7th, and 8th for middle school.
Okay.
But good to prepare them for upcoming grades.
Yep.
That's great. But again, thank you all so much. And to our veteran coaches, our new coaches for staying on. Wonderful conversation. I hope that this helped our new coaches to feel like a little bit better going into preseason and knowing that you have people to lean on too, and you got some of your questions answered. So we will be sending out, like I said, all the contact information, and hopefully we'll see all of you connecting with one another throughout the week as well, so everyone feels their best going into next Monday. So with that, we'll wish everyone a lovely rest of their Monday evening and a good rest of their final preseason week. Thank you, everybody. Appreciate it.